Alright, this topic is actually something you've already been doing. We're just going to kick it up a few notches and bring some letters in. A monomial, just so you know, is anything. It can be like a plain number, so like 3. It could also just be something like 2x. Or it could be something as complicated as 124v squared w to the 5th. All of those are examples of monomials. So if we look at it from this level, you've already found greatest common factors of numbers. So if I asked you to find the greatest common factor of 12 and 3, what is the smallest number that goes into both these numbers evenly? Your greatest common factor is 3. 3 goes into 3 evenly, 3 goes into 12 evenly. That's kind of the concept that we're working on. So let's work through an example. Let's say that we have 24u squared v, and we want to find the greatest common factor with that, and 12u to the 5th v to the 3rd. So let's start with your numbers. What is the greatest common factor of 12 and 24? So we want the biggest number that goes into both of those. 12 will go into both those evenly, and that would be your number that you're going to use. For the letters, we have a u squared and a u to the 5th. My words will sound a little confusing, but bear with me. We want to take the biggest number of u's that both monomials have. That's like the technical way to say it. What my students say after I say that, they're like, Howard, don't you mean just take take the exponent that's the smallest? And that's true. We look at u. What's the smallest exponent on u? Well, is u to the 5th bigger or u squared? U squared is, did I say bigger? Which one's smaller, u to the 5th or u squared? U squared is smaller, we put that down. Same thing with the v. We have a v to the 3rd and a v to the 1st. Which one's the smallest? V to the 1. And that's what you do. You just take the greatest common factor of the numbers and then write down for each letter what's the smallest exponent that appears. So that's that. Let's try another one. Alright. Let's try, let's do 3 this time. We're going to find the greatest common factor of 3 monomials. Don't let that freak you out. Let's do 10m squared n to the 10th. Let's put one more letter too. W to the 5th. And then we'll have a, let's do 15m to the 5th. Oh, we'll just do 2. I'm running out of space. How's that? 2 to the 7th, W. Alright, so we have 2 monomials. We want to find the greatest common factor. It's actually called the greatest common monomial, if you care. So we look at the numbers. What's the biggest number that goes into both of them? Well, they're both divisible by 5, so that would be our greatest common factor. And now for the m's, we have an m to the 2nd and an m to the 5th. Which one's our smaller exponent? M squared. For the n's, we have an n to the 10th and an n to the 7th. Which one's the smallest exponent? The 7. We put that one down. For our w's, we have a w to the 5th and a w to the 1. What's the smallest exponent? W to the 1. There you go. There's your greatest common factor. Try one more. Let's say, I'm running out of numbers in my head. Let's do 28, a to the 3rd, b to the 6th, c to the 11th, and let's do 36, a, b to the 8th. Alright, numbers. 28 and 36. 4 goes into both of them. Is that the biggest thing? 7 and 4, 14, 2. Yep, so greatest common factor is 7. Now for the letters, we have a to the 1 and a to the 3rd. We're going to use a to the 1. For the b's, we have b to the 6th and b to the 8th. We're going to use b to the 6th. And here's a little curveball. We have a c to the 11th and a c to the there's no other c here. There's no c. So we can't put a c down in our greatest common factor. Technically, if you like math and you get into all the little trivia things, this is technically a c to the 0. And anything to the 0 power is 1. Anything to the 0 is 1. So I would just keep a c out of it, and that way you're good to go. So if all the monomials you're looking at don't have that letter, you can't put the letter in your greatest common factor. Alright, let's try. I'm going to put 2 or 3 down. I want you to write them in your notebooks, hit the pause button, and then try to do them on your own. So let's try 7, a to the 3rd, b to the 8th, c to the 10th, And let's do 35, a to the 7th, b squared, c to the 13th. That'll be your first problem. And here's your second one. Let's do 12 m to the 5th, n to the 6th, p to the 8th, and then let's do 42 m to the 7th, p to the 2nd power. Alright, hit pause and go and see if you can do it on your own, and then come back and compare your answers. Alright, the top one are, we look at our numbers. 7 is going to be our greatest common factor because it goes into both those numbers evenly. For our a's, the smaller one is a to the 3rd. For our b's, the smaller one is b squared. And for our c's, the smallest one is c to the 10th. That's it. For the bottom one, let's see, 4 can't go into 42. 6 goes into 42 though, so our greatest common factor is a 6. For the m's, the smallest exponent is a 5. There's no n in this guy, so we can't put an n in our greatest common factor. And for our p's, we're going to do a 2. And there you go. Hope you got them right. If there's anything that's still confusing to you, come find me and I will go over it. Thanks.